Tommy Lloyd.
Well, good to see you guys. I mean, I always tell you guys it's great to be playing meaningful games, and obviously this is a meaningful game, and we're really excited for the opportunity. And TCU played great last night, and so it's going to be a battle, and hopefully we'll be ready for it.
All right, we'll take questions now, and make sure you raise your hand so we can find you.
Yeah, Steve Rivera, All Sports Tucson. Tommy, you've seen every style this year from different teams, physical and otherwise. What do you expect from these guys? They look pretty impressive defensively.
Well, yeah, they're great defensively, and it seems like that whole Big 12 is, in Tennessee have tilted towards that no middle, try to keep you on the side defense, and they're good at it. And then, on top of that, they're extremely physical, and they're a great rebounding team, and that's always been a trademark of Jamie's teams.
Justin Spears from the Arizona Daily Star. TCU, like you said, they're a great rebounding team, great defensively in the front court. What kind of challenge do you think this would present for guys like Christian Azulis?
Well, I mean, it's obviously a great challenge, but I think we're pretty good at those two things too, and so, we're going to come out and we're going to battle, and I just told our guys, you got to be ready for the physical battle, and you got to embrace it, and it's if you do it, you have a really good chance to be successful. If you don't, it's going to be a tough night.
Tommy, David Kelly, News 4 Tucson. Two-part question. First question being, I asked a couple of your players what their favorite NCAA moment was. Two of them said the Jalen Suggs shot from last year. Just curious if they've asked you about that and what you've told them about that moment from your perspective, and I'll follow up with them.
None of them asked me about it. No, they haven't. And but I do always tell them this. I mean, if you end up with a buzzer beater or a half quarter, shoot it to make it, and that's what you do. Don't leave it short.
And just all of us that grew up here in the United States have been a part of this March Madness hysteria since we were young, but a lot of your international players have not. Do you think they're bringing a different calmness to this event because they didn't grow up in that?
Well, I mean, I always tell our guys we gotta, when things get chaotic, and they did this year in a good way. When you start having a successful season, you have a great fan base, you're gonna get a lot of attention, and things start getting a little chaotic, and we just try to do a really good job having tunnel vision and staying locked in at the task at hand. So I think our international guys are handling this the same way they've handled everything all year.
Joe Reedy, Associated Press. Tommy, you guys have, with your size advantage, you've been able to wear teams down most of the season, especially when you've had your three bigs in there. But with Texas, with TCU, is there a team similar to what you faced this year that can match you with that size and physicality?
I'd have to dig deep. I mean, obviously Tennessee was extremely physical, and UCLA, they might not have the height, but they're extremely physical, and and hey, we're a physical team too, and I don't want people to mistake us scoring a lot of points for not being physical. So we take great pride in being able to battle physically, and obviously tomorrow presents a great test.
Back of the room.
Alex Coyle, Arizona PBS. After the game yesterday, you voiced a little bit of frustration with the fans not given enough time to get back into the arena for Session 2. What kind of environment are you expecting tomorrow, and how important is fan support to make a tournament run?
Well, the environment better be great, and you try to have a great regular season and conference season to set yourself up to get a good seed, because if you get a good seed, you're close to home, and this is supposed to be a great, advantageous fan base for us. And yesterday we didn't feel it. And listen, I know we got a great fan base, and I know some of them are going to take it personal, but they got to be better tomorrow. They got to bring it tomorrow. I mean, as fans. And I know maybe you don't get your blue-collar fan to as many of these games because they can't afford the tickets, that's one of the things I was disappointed with the NCAA. You had people paying a lot of money for these tickets, and for them to come in 10, 20 minutes late for a game is crazy. I think they got to consider the average fan who's paying a lot of money to come to these games, but our fans got to be better. And you know what? And the fans that are lucky enough to have tickets to this and financially be able to afford it, they need to get out of the seats tomorrow, and they need to bring it. And they need to help us advance. I mean, that's my message to them. Don't sit back and wait. Help us.
Nick King from 3TV, CBS 5 in Phoenix. Tommy, I know Dalen does a lot more than scoring, but for him to have the last two games now, I believe his career high in scoring, What have you seen from him, and do you think there's any part of that is him enjoying a big stage?
I mean, he's really come a long way as a player this year, and he's really developed. And I mean, with Kerr not having played, maybe we need a little bit more of a scoring punch out of him, and he's been opportunistic. And Dalen's a good developing shooter, and if teams are going to play off him, I'm comfortable with him taking those wide open threes, and he steps up and makes them at critical times. I mean, they've really been a catalyst for us these last couple games.
Dane O'Neill with The Athletic. Tommy, talking with Christian, he said that this summer you spent time with him, kind of niggling on some little things within his game to make them better. What did you concentrate on, and kind of what's been the upside of all that work?
Well, the first thing is love him and let him understand how good he can be, but there's going to be a process to it. And then we just start at square one. And honestly, with him, we started at catching the ball, securing it, and hitting it off the corner of the square. I mean, hundreds or thousands of times. To get his fit and working on his touch on his hook shots. And then, it's been ongoing development and maintenance since then. But Christian gets a lot of credit because, bigs take longer to develop. I mean, that's everyone knows that. And sometimes, they just don't have the patience or the wherewithal to get themselves there. And he'd built up enough of a foundation his first couple years to where if he really poured time into it, he was ready for a jump, and we try to take advantage of that.
John Titel from hoopshd.com. I was just wondering how well you know Jamie. I think both of you have been in like a dozen NCAA tournaments each in the past 20 years, but I don't think you've ever faced each other.
No, I've known Jamie, well enough throughout the years. I mean, he's friends with, all my senior coaches in the coaching tree, and so yeah, I've gotten to know him over the years, and he's a great guy, and he always goes out of his way and talks to me, and has been nothing but good to me and cordial.
Tommy, Troy Hirsch with Fox 5 San Diego. Baylor knocked off earlier today a 1 seed. Do you bring that up to your team at all? Like, hey, just because we have a number 1 bias doesn't mean we can't get beat?
No, I mean, our guys know that. I mean, they understand. I told them, hey, the first game's tough, and then the second game's tougher. I mean, that's how these tournaments are. So, TCU has our full attention, and we understand if we don't do the things we need to do, we might not be successful.
Joe Reedy, Associated Press. Tommy, just any update on Kirk Kriisa? Because notice he was out for pregame warm-ups yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, he's making progress. He's continuing to make progress day by day, and we're going to get there tomorrow and see how he looks. I mean, but day to day, it's getting better. And like I told you guys, he's closer to playing than not playing. So we'll see what tomorrow brings.
Yeah, Steve Rivera, All Sports Tucson. Tommy, is there a point where you have to rein in Dalen? It looks like he's having a lot of fun on the court, obviously. Off the court, it's very personable. But do you have to kind of say, okay, relax a little?
I mean, no. I mean, I just tell Dalen, take a breath. Get your feet on the ground. And when he does that, he's great. Sometimes he gets a little sped up, and I can see when it's happening. And then I just talk to him, and he takes a breath. And Justin's a little bit the same way. And, and those guys, I'll give them credit. When I give them those little reminders, they respond, and then they play really well.
Bruce Pascoe, the Daily Star in Tucson. Tommy, just wondering, you mentioned Tennessee. I was wondering around the Pac-12, you seen anything close to this, the no middle, and if it was Tennessee or something similar, that was a game where you guys got in a hole early, and what do you have to do to adjust in that situation?
Yeah, I mean, no one's playing as committed to the no middle stuff, in the Pac-12 as these guys are. The first thing you just gotta be strong with the ball, and you gotta play with a thrust, and you gotta play with our normal pace and movement that we do, and then you gotta trust your fundamentals. You gotta lock in, you gotta play with your feet on the ground, you gotta mix in some back cuts, a pass fake. Just like, hey, I always tell our guys, play good basketball. I mean, that's what we gotta do.
Does that maybe a good thing? You're talking about wanting this team to attack. Now they're going into a game where they're going to have to really get physical.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's a great thing. I mean, that's what you're going to have to do to keep advancing in this tournament, and that's what we've been building for all year. So I'm excited to see how it looks tomorrow.
Coach, we have one call off the Zoom. Lindsay, if you can announce your name and affiliation.
Hey, Tommy, it's Lindsay Schnell from USA Today. I don't know if you saw this, but Tara Vanderveer yesterday at Stanford issued a call. She challenged every NCAA tournament coach, men's and women's, to match her in donating $10 for every three-pointer made in their tournament. So in the entire men's tournament or in the entire women's tournament, and putting that money toward humanitarian aid in Ukraine. I wondered if you knew that and if you would take her challenge. So far, she owes about $3,000 because there's been about 300 threes hit so far in the women's tournament.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely look into it if I had the information. I didn't know that. But, I mean, obviously there's a lot going on in our world right now. And, you know, I'm pretty myopic at the moment, unfortunately. But, yeah, for sure. Lindsay, how's your dad doing, for one? And two, you know, it's give me the information, and for sure I'll definitely look into it.
Okay, he's going to be thrilled you asked, and I will. I'll get the information to you. Mick Cronin said yesterday, just tell Tara to send me a bill.
Nice.
Any follow-up?
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions for the coach?
Brent Scrotenbor, USA Today. There are a number of teams in this tournament that are still under the cloud of an unresolved NCAA investigation, including yours. I wondered if that has affected you in any way, and if it's bothered you that it's taken this long.
You know, when I took this job, I knew what I was stepping into, and you know, obviously the administration's been 100% transparent, and you know, no one in the program had anything to do with what had transpired before. For me, I would just say this: I wanted to do a good job for these guys this year, give them a chance to go to the NCAA tournament. You know, because I was pretty certain that this year we'd be fine, and I feel good moving forward that Arizona's been very proactive in making sure that we're going to be tournament eligible, you know, long term. So that was my main focus, is making sure this year these guys are a great group of young men, and they get the opportunity to experience this tournament.
Greg Hansen, Arizona Daily Star. Tommy, what's your reaction to Sean's reported move back to Xavier?
For one, I didn't know that. Two, you know, I'm not on Twitter much. And three, I'm happy for him. I mean, that's a great job, and he's a great coach, and obviously it's a place that he's comfortable with and has a great history. So, you know, I wish him nothing but the best, and, you know, I look forward to catching up with him when the dust settles for both of us.
Any other questions? Thank you, Coach.
All right, guys, have a good one.